Welcome to the GJP Fishing Channel. And if you're a young angler like me, myself, or you're an older person, or somebody who just wants to get into fishing in general, I'm going to run you through my top 5 rods and reels that I would recommend for beginning. Now, the first rod and reel that I would recommend to anybody, and this is kind of a universal setup. I have mine a little bit more tailored for something specific that I like to throw on it, but you can kind of adjust some things to throw it how you want to throw it. The first thing I would recommend for any angler, trying to go get a new setup or trying to get into it, is a 7'3" medium heavy fast action. This is the Daiwa Tatula. I picked it up, I think it was like $150. You guys don't have to do that. You guys don't have to spend that amount of money, but I just do. And on here, I got the older generation of the Lew's Speed Spool. This is in the 6.8 gear ratio. For what I'm throwing a 3/8 ounce Z-Man jackhammer chatterbait on there with 15-pound fluorocarbon line. Now, the nice thing about a 7.3 medium heavy fast action, you can throw just about anything. Texas rigs, chatterbaits, spinner baits. If you wanted to put braid on and throw top water like a whopper plopper, maybe you're throwing some crankbaits or something. This is the perfect rod and reel for just about anything. If you want to try and get into fishing, you're looking for something new, this is what I would recommend. A 7.3, even a 7.2 medium heavy fast action. All right, the next rod and reel that I want to talk about is a spinning rod. It's the only spinning rod that I have in this video, but it's by far, I can get it untangled, it's by far one of the most versatile out there. This is a 7-foot medium fast action tip Bass Pro Bionic blade. I picked up this rod, I think it was relatively $100. And on there I got the Lew's Speed Spool in a 6.2 to 1 gear ratio. And this works amazing for anything from a wacky rig to a Nico rig, drop shot, 3.3 inch swim bait, anything and everything, right? I'm gonna be normally having a 12, 15 pound braided backing on it, tied to a 10, 12 pound fluorocarbon leader. Depending on what I'm throwing, where I'm throwing it at, how deep I'm throwing it will kind of depend on the leader. I could be throwing a 12-foot leader, I could be using a 2-foot leader. All depends. But this is by far the next rod and reel that I think any angler should always have on their deck. Now, the next setup is something that I throw a lot. It's one of my favorite techniques. I currently don't have a reel for this rod. I will probably be picking up a 7.5 gear ratio Lew's Speed Spool for this. But this is the Daiwa Tatula Elite Series rod. This rod is a lot more expensive. This is a $220 rod. You don't need to go spend this, but this is for jerk baits. Basically is what I'm throwing. Jerk baits, top water, like a walking bait, popper, something along those lines. But most of the time I'm gonna be throwing a jerk bait on this. I'm gonna be, using 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon line on this rod. And in terms of the size of this is the 6'9" medium light. See if I can't get it lighting on there. 6'9" medium light fast action, if I believe so. But I'm gonna be throwing real light jerk baits. So this is the perfect rod right here. Once again, I'll be getting like a 7.3, 7.5 gear ratio reel, throwing 10, 12 pound fluorocarbon. If I'm throwing a popper, I'm gonna be throwing, a 10 pound mono or maybe a 20 pound braided on it. Now, the fourth reel and rod combination that I want to talk about is the big boy. And this one I'm going to give you a couple recommendations. Really, it's what you're comfortable fishing with in terms of your rod size. How tall you might be is another big thing. But this is the new gen Lew's Speed Spool. This one's got the 7.5 gear ratio on a 7'3". Go ahead and flip it around so you guys can see it. This is the 7'3" heavy, extra fast Bass Pro Johnny Moore's Carbon Light Series rod. And as you can see, I got one tied on. I'm going to be throwing swim baits on this, heavier jigs maybe, as I got 25-pound fluorocarbon tied onto this. I'm going to be throwing bigger lures. If you want a swim bait rod or heavier jigs rods, I would say at least a 7'3". You can go, I would say, from a 7'3" to a 7'9" for, swim baits, glide baits. And you want at least a heavy, in my personal opinion, anywhere from a heavy, extra heavy, that extra fast tip so you can feel that bite. But as you can see, this is the 5-inch Megabass Mag Draft that I got tied on there. So, anywhere from a 7'3" heavy to a 7'9" heavy or extra heavy, extra fast tip, 25-pound fluorocarbon. If you're throwing braided, I would probably say 50-pound braided line on this. This will work perfect. Very last rod and reel is a Froggen topwater rod. Okay, this is the Johnny Moore's Carbon Light. This is the Technique series. This is actually a 6'9" heavy fast action Froggen rod, is what it is. I really don't even know what line I got in there right now. I think I was just messing around with it. But for Froggen, topwater, I'd be throwing 50-pound braided at the minimum, up to 65-pound braid. You don't need to go any more than 65-pound braid unless you're throwing into trees that are, super, super thick and you really need to get through there. 65-pound braid is going to do plenty good. For Froggen rods, once again, it's kind of like the swim bait, rod, glide bait rod. Kind of depends on your height and what you're comfortable fishing. Something that I'm going to be twitching a lot, I like to have a little bit smaller of a rod. It's a little bit more comfortable, a little bit lighter. And for my size, being under 6 foot, it's just overall more comfortable for me. So I'll be throwing, anything from Poppin' Frog, I'll probably throw on, let's see here, a Buzz Toad or a Buzz Bait or something, anything like that I might be throwing in a heavy cover or around some structure. That's what I'd be, throwing. The gear ratio of this is a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. I personally, in my usage and my years of experience that I've got under my belt now, I would say you want something that's going to be heavier, or not necessarily heavier, something that's faster or something with more torque so you can pull that fish out. But that's my personal preference. That's my rundown as a high school angler. So those are my top 5 rods. Biggest takeaway, though, that I would say to you young anglers or you other guys that are or girls that are just trying to get themselves involved, is you don't got to go and spend all your money. Start off with 2 rods. If I were to go out and restart from where I'm at, I would get a 7.3 medium heavy fast action bait caster rod and a 7 to 7.2 medium spinning rod with a fast action tip. That'll get you started. That'll get you throwing the most basic stuff, you know, chatterbaits, wacky rigs, Texas rigs. You know, if you wanted to tie on braid onto one of them, do straight braid and do some top water like a whopper plopper or maybe a frog or something. That'll get you started. That'll get you on the ground. So yeah, those are my top 5 rods and reels that I recommend for you guys that are just trying to get started. Just want to give you guys a big thank you if you stayed for the entire video. Tune in next time.